Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Cutting Through the Bullshit. I am your host, Dr. Stephanie Snyder, and I am a high performance mentor. Through my unique blend of strategy, mindset, and intuition, I help men and women to cut through the BS in order to create the life and business they desire. So, today we're going to talk about what kind of friends you have. Yes, we are. So, I was actually I was talking with a client the other day, and we oftentimes with my clients, I talk about life and business because they are not separate from each other. They are 100% intertwined. And this client was talking about how he was feeling frustrated with his wife. And I said, well, this doesn't seem to be clearly something that you can talk to her about. So does she have some friends that she could speak to about this? And he kind of chuckled. And he said, no, I've heard the conversations that she has with her friends, and it's very much just agreement. I said, so there's no friends that will challenge her on something and be brutally honest? And he said, nope, none of those. And I thought, oh man. So we're going to have a conversation here in regards to the circle of friends that you have. Now, there are not a lot of people that I will willingly take their input from, okay? Because I have learned that more often than not, that level of input may come from their own fear, their own judgment, their own perspective. Now, having said that, I also sometimes share that kind of advice. However, I have gotten much better at not just blindly giving advice to people, because not everybody wants to be quote unquote coached through something. Sometimes people just want to be heard. And that's a very different type of skill. And this is also something that I use with my husband as well, where I'll say, hey, I don't need you to fix this. Okay, this is just something that I would like you to listen to. And so when it comes to that, I also have those conversations with friends. But I do have many friends, several friends, few friends, we'll call them a few friends, that will absolutely come to me for the God's honest truth about something. For instance, last month in April, I spent a weekend in St. Augustine with my best friend, and we have great conversations, very honest, open conversations. She will call me out on my BS. I call her out on her BS. We also listen to each other. It is 100% an iron sharpens iron kind of a relationship, and I love it. And at one point she had asked me, what are my blind spots? And I was a little taken aback by the question, not because, let me preface this. I wasn't in a state to answer that question. And so I said very honestly, I said, well, when we do talk about things, you are open to seeing another perspective, I think, which is really great. And that actually makes you, I know that you're doing better because we have these conversations. I said, in terms of blind spots, though, that's something that I would have to sit in and pray about and think about, because right off the top of my head, there isn't something coming through. And to even have the courage to ask that of somebody is a big deal, because oftentimes we find ourselves really avoiding the hard questions because we don't necessarily want to know the truth. Whereas I do like to be challenged. Now, not always, because my best friend's husband does a really great job of challenging me, and it sometimes irritates the crap out of me, and other times just causes me to cry. But it is 100% an iron sharpens iron thing, where it's, hey, here's my perspective on this. Have you thought about it? And we've actually watched him do this in real time. And it's always been interesting because he's not a surface level question guy. Like, even if he's known you for 5 seconds, he's like, okay, so why are you in this relationship with so-and-so? And you're like, whoa, Okay, that's where we're headed today. Um, and so I do appreciate those kind of conversations, that depth and kind of that ruffling feathers thing, but not everybody likes that. There are people who simply want you to just agree with them. And I'm not going to be that friend. Sorry, not sorry. Um, I think you can have anyone on the internet agree with you. Um, but I want to be that friend that challenges you and helps you grow a little bit more. And so, how do you begin to seek these kinds of relationships out? Well, one, again, I think it's very, very important that you get honest with yourself first, because if you can't have the hard conversations with yourself, you may struggle to have those hard conversations with somebody else. And so I do ask hard questions of myself. Now, I know my own perspective has a little bit of bias, and maybe I don't always ask myself the hardest questions, but if there is a question that is presented to me and I notice that I shy away from it, I know that that is a question that I actually have to go deeper with, because there's something that I'm not looking at. There's something that I'm not paying attention because I've gone into avoidance mode. What will this question expose that I'm afraid of? And that is just how I'm wired. I had this conversation with my husband this morning. Um, he made some comment to me, and I said, well, I'm just wired different. And he goes, well, yeah. Not everybody wants the level of depth and growth in this lifetime that I desire. And that's okay. But I know that this is part of my soul's journey during this lifetime, is to deep dive, to find the truths and the truth, the actual truth, not what's just true, but to find the truth and deep dive into it, no matter what that looks like. And it does ruffle feathers. Not everybody wants to have those conversations, and that's okay. But I do think that it is crucial to have somebody in your life that can help you grow, that you trust to have those conversations with, where you know that they're coming from a good space and not from a kind of negative belittling space, because those questions are not enjoyable, right? When you know where somebody's coming from. um and I'll be 100% honest with you, the people who are cheering you on will be happy to have those conversations with you. And oftentimes it is the people who are not afraid of the competition, because when people fear competition, they don't want you to grow. They don't want you to get better. They want you to stay where you are, and they want you to focus on all the ways that it won't work. But what I've learned is that the only person I'm in competition with is the version of me from before. And it's not even like, it's not a dominating kind of competition. I want to be clear on that. It's more of a, am I growing competition, right? Because I do believe that competition is 100% beneficial. It is absolutely beneficial, because without competition, you wouldn't know what you would actually be able to strive towards without that healthy competition. So I say all of this because if you are finding yourself in a space where you feel like you're ready to grow, you know there's something bigger out there, and you need someone to challenge you, I would love to have that conversation with you. I would love to be your mentor and help challenge you through the next half of the year. And if that's something that you're interested in, reach out to me. We'll put together a program, a container that will work best for what it is that you want. And you can find me on Instagram at stephaniesnyderphd.com, or head over to my website, or that was my website, Stephanie Snyder PhD on Instagram. stephaniesnyderphd.com is my website. You can head over there. You can shoot me an email, send me a direct message, because if you do find yourself craving and your circle of friends is not available to help you grow, it's time to spread that circle. So I'm sending you a whole lot of love. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. And as always, be you, because the world needs more of you. Bye.